Welcome to Slapshot Podcast, episode number 90. I'm your host, Christopher Morais. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Welcome to an episode. Welcome to a brand new season. That's right, we're back. Summer was nice. Got to relax, take care of my aging body. But that's over. Now we're done. Now we got hockey. It's the best time of the year. We're creeping up to training camps. We're creeping up to preseason games. We are creeping up to just the best time of the year. It's gonna be rock and roll over the next couple of weeks. But honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way, right? Hockey's, man, it's the best sport. Yes, there's football. Yes, there's baseball. I guess basketball. But there's nothing like hockey. This is my favorite time of the year for sports. It's the fall. Some of you want to go apple picking. Some of you want to go pumpkin picking. Me, it is doing mock drafts and hockey. So, yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to have all of you here. If you are new here, you've stumbled upon this for the first time, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. If you are returning, again, thank you for returning. I can't believe you haven't gotten enough of my face yet, but there are so many places you can catch a podcast. If you're watching this over on YouTube, thank you. Go ahead, hit the sub button, ring the bell. Okay. Our goal is to get to 200 subscribers by the end of this season. So, share it with a friend. Like I said, hit the sub button, ring the bell. If you prefer to listen to this, maybe it's on your commute to work. Maybe it's in the shower. I don't care where you want to listen to it. Honestly, it's fine. If you head over to X, add Slapshot Podcast, hit the link tree. You can find the podcast everywhere you enjoy it. Audio, you can get it on Apple Podcasts. You can get it on Spotify. You can get it on Google Podcasts. Literally anywhere you want to listen to it. Go ahead, click the link tree. If you want to follow me on X, you can do so as well at FuzzyChris91. You can tell me all your bad takes as well. Maybe all your good takes. You want to email the podcast, you can do that as well. Slapshotpodcast@yahoo.com. So that is the work. We got a jam-packed show today. Okay. Jam-packed show. And as always, we're going to start the year because fantasy hockey drafts are right around the corner here. So we're going to go through some guidelines, rules, guidelines, things you should remember heading into your fantasy drafts, okay? Because I know I got to say it every year, but some of you need to hear it over and over again. The key is repetition, and one day I'll stop repeating it, but that day is not today, unfortunately. So we got a whole bunch of things we got to dig into before we get to that. We're going to keep this episode nice and fun. Let's go over straight here. Look at that brand new graphic. Breaking NHL news. I mean, it could be breaking. Could be, right? Maybe. We don't know. But this is what some news maybe you've missed, something that is important to remember. We're going to start with Kirill Kaprizov, who apparently allegedly turned down $16 million per season from the Minnesota Wild for like 8 years, because you can still sign 8-year deals. That would have made him the highest paid player ever in the NHL. And he said no, which is, again, allegedly. Apparently, the Minnesota Wild also asked him to submit a list of teams he would be traded to because there's a full no-move clause on his current deal. All of this apparently is just smoke, according to the Minnesota Wild. But listen, where there is smoke, there is fire, okay? When players turn down generational money, it's two reasons. Now, reports are maybe Kirill Kaprizov and his agent are looking, it's not necessarily the number, but they're looking at a percentage of the cap, right? Because, again, the salary cap is going to explode over the next couple of years, and players want to be paid accordingly. So some in his camp think maybe he's looking for like 18 to 20% of the salary cap, which would push him closer to the $20 million range. I don't know if Kirill is worth $20 million a season, but listen, I've said this before and I'll say it again. You are a hockey player for a short period of time. Go out, collect your bag. If it's not in Minnesota, it'll be somewhere else. There are no shortage of teams that are going to line up for Kirill Kaprizov. Whether he gets that money I don't know. I don't know if it's wise to pay one player $20 million, even with the salary cap that's increasing. But hey, that's a conversation for another day. But yes, we'll see if Kirill gets paid. In less than ideal news here, I guess the Buffalo Sabres have signed Alexander Georgiev to a 1-year deal. I don't know why Buffalo continues to block Devin Levi, who I know a couple of fantasy seasons ago I was like big on him. We haven't seen the breakout just yet. He was very good in the AHL for Rochester. I got to see him play live in the game that the Rochester Americans did beat the Laval Rocket. But going out to get Georgiev, I'm guessing he's going to like back up. Maybe. I don't know. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is the starter there, UPL. He's apparently dealing with an injury, though, in camp, like just before camp starts. So maybe this is just an insurance policy. It's a bad one at any policy here. Alexander Georgiev is not good. I don't know who needs to hear this, but it is what it is for him, right? So good luck. I fully expect to take advantage of him in NHL DFS any night that he's playing. So whatever team he's playing against, I'm going to stack the opposing team, call it a day, move on. What else we got here? The 5 Canadian Hockey Canada players that were acquitted in the recent trial, the NHL has come out and said that they can sign contracts as of October 15th, but they cannot play before December 1st. So listen, a lot of us have different opinions about how we feel about this. I am interested to see which teams go out there and test the waters on this. Now, it's not uncommon for NHL players to do something they shouldn't do and then, I guess, get forgiven. Yes, they were acquitted, right? That doesn't mean that they didn't do what they do. They were just found legally not guilty of something. But not guilty doesn't mean they didn't do it, right? Remember that. I am interested to see where Carter Hart ends up because A, he is a goalie. The other players, I don't know how many teams will run out to it. Carter Hart, again, there are teams that probably need a goalie, specifically the Edmonton Oilers. So that seems like a match that's unfortunately too close. But I don't know how this will work out for them. I don't know if any teams want to really go down that route. But again, I'm sure somebody will kick a tire somewhere and say, hey, what does this look like? How can we get him signed? How much backlash are we to get? They're going to weigh the pros and cons to it. Somebody will sign him somewhere. If it's not in North America, maybe they go over, they play in Russia for a bit. But we'll see how this goes. Here's a good one, though. Let's turn into something a little bit more fun here. The Montreal Canadiens have announced that they will honor Andrei Markov December 3rd in Montreal. And this one I feel like is a long time coming for the General, as they refer to him as. Andrei Markov was a staple for the Montreal Canadiens blue line for so long. It is a shame that he never got to 1,000 games, all of them in a Habs uniform. But he was very good for a long period of time. Montreal's power play was because of him. It has never been the same since he's left. Tried to rotate other players in and out, but what he did and how he did it and how good he was in just doing what he needed to do, this is good. This is a W for the Montreal Canadiens. This is a W for Andrei Markov because he definitely deserves it. And I don't know, who knows? Hey, if you have tickets and you don't want to go, let me know, okay? I will go for you. Next, here's a fun one. Sidney Crosby and the possibility of him leaving Pittsburgh. Right? There's been a lot of talk. Crosby was at the NHL media thing that they do in, I think it was Vegas. And it was a lot of talk about, if he could see himself playing somewhere else, specifically in Montreal. Now, obviously, he knows there's been a connection there since the time he was drafted. We know that, he grew up a little bit of a Habs fan, but that doesn't mean anything. He has been a Pittsburgh Penguin for the longest period of time. I can't imagine him playing in a different jersey. unless he wants to play in a different jersey. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Pittsburgh Penguins do, because if Crosby still wants to compete and chase a Stanley Cup, which I believe he does want to do, like, he is a fierce competitor, it's going to be tough. Does he want to be part of this? I'm not going to say rebuild, because all the boys are going to end up going somewhere else, whether it's Evgeny Malkin, whether it's Chris Letang. There's so much change that's coming to this team within the next few years that if he wants to go somewhere else and chase it, he has definitely earned that opportunity. And whatever he wants to do is what he will do. And listen, he can definitely do the Pittsburgh Penguins a solid here and said, hey, if you find a deal for me somewhere, I'll go. Because you're not going to trade Sid for nothing, right? There's a whole bunch of talk about he would look really good as a second centerman in Montreal, which I believe he would. I just don't know how many assets I want to give up for a 38-year-old, unless my window to win is like today. And I don't think the Montreal Canadiens are there just yet. So as much as I'd love to see him in a Habs uniform, I don't think I want to pay the premium it would take to bring him. But maybe I'm selfish and I want to see Crosby retire in a Penguins jersey. Maybe I want to see him play his whole career in Pittsburgh, but I wouldn't fault him if he wants to go somewhere else, chase greatness, add another ring to his finger. Again, fierce competitor. We know this. I don't think he's just going to roll over and be like, yeah, whatever, I'll live out my glory days here. It's sticking with the Pittsburgh Penguins. This one's kind of fun here. Marc-Andre Fleury has signed a PTO with Pittsburgh, and he intends to play at least one preseason game with them, whether it's a full game, whether it's a half game. I think they said, September 27th, somewhere in that range. We know that Marc-Andre Fleury announced that he is retiring from the NHL. I guess this is a nice send-off for him, right? Comes full circle. He goes back to Pittsburgh in a preseason game. The fans get to show their appreciation for him one last time. He gets to go out as well. This is exactly something Marc-Andre Fleury, would want to do, and I think he has earned it, of course. I don't think there is any expectation that he will play, whether it's in Pittsburgh or somewhere else. I think this is just a send-off for him to be able to do it with, again, Sid, Gino, Letang, some of the other boys that he's played multiple years with. And this feels fantastic. The picture of him as well, where he's like signing it at like his kitchen table. He's got like the 3 miniature replica Stanley Cups. He's got his 3 Stanley Cup rings. He's in his like bathrobe. It's just so Marc-Andre Fleury, and I love it. And this is fantastic. So shout out to the Penguins organization for wanting to do this. Obviously, again, Marc-Andre Fleury, Flower deserves it. So so much fun there. Wonderful. I don't care for preseason hockey very much, but I will probably care about that game a little bit more. So that's kind of cool. Shout out to Fleury and his incredible career, of course. But yeah, just absolutely fantastic there. So that is the NHL news. All right, we're going to shift over here to the main topic that we need to focus on. All right, this is the one that some of us, like I said, we need to prepare you for the upcoming fantasy hockey drafts that you have. So this is the fantasy hockey draft preparation portion of the podcast. Okay, this is what you need in order to prepare for your drafts. Okay. These are guidelines. Sometimes I used to call them rules. I think they're rules, but I mean, they're guidelines for most of you, I guess. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. I'm okay with it, but I still think you should. You should definitely follow these rules. It'll help you before your draft, during it. It'll set you up for success after it as well. Fantasy hockey is a long season, okay? So you cannot win your league on draft night, but you most certainly can lose it. All right? So we're going to try to set you up with as much success as humanly possible, okay? So let's get right to it. The five things you need to remember. The first one is really simple, and I know I repeat it every year, but it's know your league rules. Every year, somebody shows up to the draft, and they are lost. Now, maybe this is a new league you're joining. Maybe this is a league you've been in a minute, right? You should always check your league rules, your league scoring settings, always, every year. Even if you're back and your commissioner says nothing's changed. Maybe he didn't do a very good job of checking because Yahoo sometimes adds a new default category. Maybe your league is still playing with plus minus, which you shouldn't be. Remove it. But know your league rules. It is essential to know them, whether it's points, categories. It'll help you with the draft guide that you have, right? And how to read it and how to understand it based on your league rules. There are lots of different guides that you can now use and spreadsheets where you can tailor it exactly to your scoring system. But if you don't know your league rules, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You show up unprepared. Don't be that guy or girl. Okay? Know your league rules from top to bottom. How many IR spots? Can I put a player on NA when he's not on an NHL roster? Can I store him? How many? How many waiver moves? Is there a maximum of goalies I can have? Is there a minimum amount of goalie starts I need? All of this, extremely important. You need to know this before you draft, okay? So just open up your league settings, take a gander, write it down. I don't care what you do. Screenshot it. Just know your league rules. Next. This one I can't stress enough. I've been doing a lot of mock drafts over with the boys over on Total Hockey Now, which you can watch. Practice, practice, practice. Right? I know Allen Iverson once said we're talking about practice, but in reality, this is where you test it. You need to do as many mock drafts as you can. Now, the season's here for it. Most Yahoo lobbies will fill up, so you'll go against real people and not just computers taking the best player available that's on their list, right? You got to practice. Practice from, if you know where you're drafting, practice from that spot. If it's a 10-team league, 12-team league, 14-team league, whatever you got, practice from a spot. If you don't know, try from different spots. Try from the beginning of the draft. Try from the middle. Try from the end of it. Try the first overall pick. Try the last pick on the turn. Whichever one it is, practice. See what you get. Where are certain players being taken, right? What does the draft flow look like? It's not a perfect science, but practicing, and again, maybe you're in a league with friends and they do crazy things, right? Like they take too many of their favorite players from their team early, right? Like there's always those people. But if you practice, you'll get better. I promise. It's an art. Drafting is an art. It's showing up and understanding. How long is your clock? Is it 30 seconds? Is it 90 seconds? Practice with different types of, times on how long you can make a pick. Do as many. There's no such thing as too many mock drafts, okay? And it can take you what? About a half hour at best? You don't have to do one every day, okay? You can do, I don't know, maybe 2 a week for the next 4 weeks. You get 8 or 10 in there, you should be fine. You should be fine. Nothing crazy, nothing wild. Just practice. You know what I mean? We're talking about practice. All right. Next, also very important, zigzag. You're saying, Chris, what in the world is this? Well, while you're doing your mock drafts, you're going to perfect the art of zig and zag. It's very, very simple. Okay. You either start a trend or you avoid a trend. Okay. But you do not get caught up in the trend. All right. And what does this mean? If you see early in your draft, there's a bunch of goalies going off the board, don't be inclined to take one. Go the other way. Zig when others are zagging, or vice versa, however you want to do it. Right? You want to start a goalie run, go ahead. You can reach on a goalie if you feel that's what you need on your team and in your league. Right? You can grab a couple of high-end defensemen early if you think you can get good value later on in the draft offensively. But do not go into your draft with a set rule of what you need to do. I see sometimes people are like, well, I got to fill out my starting lineup before I start filling out my bench. Why? Why? Why must you do that? You say, well, Chris, these are the guys we're going to start. Your whole lineup is important, okay? All of it. Because those bench guys may play a couple times a week. You're going to have injuries. So your whole, if you have 16 spots on your lineup, all 16 of them are important, right? Zig, one other zag. If someone's going on a run of something, go the other way because there's value somewhere else, right? Zig and zag, which leads into the next one. Point number 4. Draft best value, okay? Again, I see a lot of people that do not draft the best value possible. They're like, I need a defenseman. I only have one. So they take a defenseman way too early for no reason. Maybe they didn't get good value here. Take the best value. If you have to carry 3 goalies off early in the draft because that's where the value is, take it. Listen, these are pieces that you can use in trades later, okay? And we all have that one guy in the league who takes 4 goalies, I'll trade them later. In a sense, they're right. It depends what you get for them. But take the best value, whatever that is. If you have your cheat sheet out or you're following on ESPN or Yahoo or Sleeper or wherever you do your drafts, and you see there's a guy who's sliding down and you're like, man, I don't know. Every player is draftable, okay? Some guys, it's just about value, right? Even the players who get hurt a lot, all right? Even those guys, there's no such thing as an undraftable player. It's just where you get them and what their value is. That's it. As simple as that. Chris Letang and Evgeny Malkin are draftable players. Even though they get hurt, doesn't matter. It depends where you take them in the draft. If I take Chris Letang first overall, that is bad value. If I take Chris Letang with my 250th pick overall, that's probably better value. It's the same player. It just depends where you take them. So focus your draft on getting the best value. That's what you're looking for. Think of it as the McDonald's value menu, okay? Get it from there. I'm not paying $8 for a junior chicken. What would I pay $1 for a Big Mac? Yeah, I would. Draft the best value. I cannot stress this enough. Because, again, if we go back to point 3, if we zig and we zag, you're going to find the best value. Take it. Take what the draft gives you. Don't fight it. Be one with the draft. Merge your souls together, okay? That's it. Final point here. This one sometimes people forget about, which is the duo and occasionally triple position eligibility that some players have. Okay? Now, if you are in leagues that it's just, let's say, forwards, defense, goalies, then this doesn't apply to you. You can just, move on, fast forward. But in most leagues, we have, centers. Maybe you have just wingers, right? Which is okay. You may have center, right wing, left wing. Defense is not as common to have left D and right D, but maybe you do. And that is important. You want players with a little bit of flexibility. Now, this isn't the be all end all. Okay. It's strategically placed here to be number 5 because this is the deciding factor. If you like 2 players, okay, and you're like, well, which one do I really want? I target the duo and the triple position eligibility. Okay. I'm going to give you a good example of triple position eligibility. Pavel Buchnevich. Okay. He is clocked in at left wing, right wing, and center. So if I'm later on in the draft and I'm looking for somebody to fill out my bench, these are the guys who come into play. Because during the year, it's going to be a lot easier to set your lineups. A lot of centermen have duo position eligibility by default. There's usually center and then a wing position, right? Kind of. So best example is Leon Draisaitl. You can play him at center or on the wing. That's important. I'm not saying you take him over McDavid. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that is a deciding factor between other players. This is probably more important as you go on later in the draft because it just helps you be able to navigate your lineup. If you're in a league where you can set your lineup every day, this is really important because then it allows you to get as many players as possible into your starting lineup. The roster flexibility is important in fantasy hockey. You don't want to get caught with all of a sudden, you're unable to start one of your better players, or maybe you drafted a value play and he starts taking off. He starts being a guy that you can plug into your lineup every time he plays. Matchup independent, doesn't matter. But you can't because he's blocked, because he can only play one position. It's only center. You only have 2 center spots. You have no utility spot. You can't get him into the lineup. So he only plays on the other team's off day. Maybe they're all out of the Atlantic and they all play Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Most common, right? It's a bummer then, or it's tough. Now maybe you're forced into trying to make a trade just because you're trying to get your lineup to function better, right? These things happen, and it's sometimes something we don't think about. Dual position eligibility, again, it's important. Usually for centermen. Sometimes people are like, well, I don't want to draft a ton of centermen early. Yeah, but they're not centermen if they have a winger eligibility. Whether it's left or right, doesn't matter. It makes it easier to set your day-to-day lineup. You can draft 5 centermen. If 3 of them can play the wing, great. And like I said, there are a lot of centermen that have winger designation as well. There are also wingers that are on both sides, right? That have left wing and right wing eligibility. Cole Caulfield being one. Timo Meier is another one. These are guys that just pop into mind here. Is that to say that David Pastrnak only having right wing eligibility is a bummer? No, it's not. He's the best right winger in fantasy hockey, I think. I know Nikita Kucherov fans would have a word with me about that. But again, there are lots of ways that you can go about this. There are lots of ways you can build your lineup. But if I need a deciding factor, the duo and triple position eligibility is the one that I use. I'm not worried about power play points. Not worried about all that stuff. Again, we don't care about plus minus because that is a meaningless stat. We do care about dual position eligibility. You cannot lose it. Once Yahoo gives it to you to start the year, you can't lose it. So, you know what I mean? Run it out there. So, let's go back here and recap for some of you that missed it. 1, know your league rules, okay? Real simple. Just take a quick gander. You'll understand it better. 2, practice, 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 okay? Do as many mock drafts as you can. Number 3, zig and zag. You either start a trend, but you never get caught up in one, okay? When everybody's going one way, you go the other. Number 4, draft the best value. I don't need to explain more than that, right? The best value is whatever player you think can exceed the expectation that is set to him. Whatever his projected total is, try to see which players can exceed it. And then number 5, the duo, trio, triple position eligibility, of course. It's just an easier way to build your lineup. It'll save you headaches throughout the year, especially in leagues where you set your lineup daily. Do we understand? I hope you wrote this down. If not, you can go back and watch it, and you'll be good. And there you have it, folks. That is the first episode of the new season. Keeping this one a little bit short here. I just want to say I am so happy for all of you that are here and listening and continue to listen. It warms my heart more than anybody will ever know. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Like I said, if you are new here, okay, head over to the YouTube, youtube.com/@slapshotpod. Hit the sub button, ring the bell. You'll never miss, okay? Never miss an episode. You head over to X, Slapshot Podcast on X, hit the link tree. You can see where you can get the podcast, all the audio platforms you enjoy. All right, you can follow me on X as well, @FuzzyChris91. We're going to hang out all year together, okay? We're going to be doing some mock draft streams as well leading up to the season. There's so much great stuff this year coming. I'm excited to hang out with you guys as always. I love you. Thanks for hanging out. Well, I'll see you on the other side.